Three current Multnomah County commissioners are running for county chair, and our next guest is one of them, Jessica Vega Pederson. Before she joined the Multnomah County Commission in 2016, she was the first Latina to serve in the Oregon House of Representatives. A technology and business executive, Vega Pederson lives on Portland's east side, which many east siders say doesn't get as much attention as the west side of the Willamette River. Jessica Vega Pederson, welcome to Eye on Northwest Politics.
Hi, Ken. Great to see you.
Nice to see you as well. Multnomah County has an annual budget of $2.8 billion. Now, the chair sets the priorities, so if you became chairs, what would your priority be?
Yeah, I don't think people understand just what a huge responsibility it is to be Multnomah County chair. And that budget and the work that we do, the 6,000 employees that the county has, this is all a big deal, and the chair is the executive of that. So, I think for me, being the Multnomah County chair, the most important issue that we're facing right now in the county is that of the housing and homelessness crisis, and that would be my #1 priority as county chair. I think the second issue that I really want to work on is going to be reducing crime and addressing community safety and the challenges that we have there. This is something that in my neighborhood in East Portland and Hazelwood, we've had some of the highest gun violence, in the last 2 years. And just in the summer of 2020, I actually saw a shooting outside my house. So this is something that I know is impacting people all over the county. It would be an issue. And then, underlying, whether you're talking about homelessness, whether you're talking about crime, unemployment, climate resiliency, the poverty and the huge and growing economic divide between those who have so much in our county and those who are struggling to get by. Multnomah County is the social net provider, the safety net provider for the county. We have to be putting those programs out in the community effectively, really addressing the racial and ethnic disparities in people in this county. And we also have to be making sure that people have opportunities for jobs, they have opportunity for helping themselves and the family. So really working with organizations, with businesses to make sure that we are giving people opportunities is also going to be a huge priority for me. But first and foremost, it's addressing housing and homelessness.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. Multnomah County oversees the Joint Office of Homeless Services, and most county residents do see homelessness as the biggest problem that we face. How can the Joint Office be more effective? And are you an advocate of finding housing for the homeless first or finding shelter first?
I think it's such a saying it has to be one or the other is such a hard thing to do, because we have to be doing it all. We have to be using every tool in the toolbox to be addressing this crisis that we have before us. I think as Multnomah County chair, one of my jobs will be to make sure that we're doing a better job of working together across jurisdictions to address the crisis on our streets. We have to stop the finger pointing. We have to stop the blame. That's been going on. People shouldn't have to know what jurisdiction is responsible for what. Like this person, the city does trash cleanup, the county does, supportive services. That doesn't matter. They just need to know that their government is working well and getting the job done. So that working together more effectively is going to be my #1 priority. I also, I have experience of actually citing both shelters and supportive housing and supportive services in my district. And working together with businesses, with neighborhood associations, with schools to make sure that that is done effectively. We also know that there's a lot of people who are going to be more ready for housing and being successful in housing when they have the stability of being in a shelter or an alternative shelter environment, where they also have access to mental and physical health care and wraparound services. And so we have to be investing those to stabilize people, and we have to be ultimately working to get people into housing where they can be successful. But part of the job of the chair is going to be working with the mayor, working with Metro President, working with the next governor to make sure that we have to address what's happening on our streets in terms of getting people off of the streets, getting the trash picked up, and really responding to what's happening so we can have our communities the way that we want them to be.
You mentioned that many people do see mental health as a major contributor to people living on the streets right now. Do you have any specific proposals in that area?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of the biggest drivers of the homelessness that we're seeing and so many people are experiencing, a large part are driven by the affordable housing crisis. And so that has to be one, leg of the stool in how we're addressing this in the long term. But we also know that people are experiencing really high acuity levels of addiction, of mental health issues on our street. And so we need to be working together at the county to making sure that we have programs in place, services in place where people who need that help have the easiest time getting it. So, having a place where people can have one stop where they can actually access our mental health system, where people can go there themselves, our first responders can go there, so that people can get into the system and start getting the help that they need is going to be really important. The county mostly deals with our behavioral health division with people who have no insurance or underinsured. And then there are the folks who are insured that really are helped by our healthcare system. And so we have to be partnering with our healthcare system too, as we're developing that spectrum of services that people have for care. But as chair, the things that we are investing in right now, a downtown behavioral health center, I will make sure that that opens on time, that stays successful and accountable, and supporting things like a drop-off center for first responders, for people who need to detox, people who need a place to stabilize, making sure that we're investing in programs like that as well will be a priority for me.
Commissioner, we've got about a minute left, and I want to get to the area of public safety, especially as we deal with an unprecedented rise in gun violence in the county. What are your thoughts on that, and what can the chair do to deal with that?
Yeah, like I said, this is an issue that's really, really personal to me. It's something that I know has been affecting my community and it's affecting so many people. I've been really proud in my work as a county commissioner to get dollars into the community to help with mentoring and intervention services with community-based organizations that are doing that work on the ground, and not just the really big organizations that we traditionally work with, but getting dollars to smaller organizations that really have those relationships with people who are engaged in gun violence or with violent activity, to help change what they're doing and change their perspective on how they can respond to situations. That is something as chair that I will continue to support and work with faith communities, work with smaller organizations to make sure that we're doing that work. But the chair also is working at the level across the system, and we have to really be looking at our public safety system. And I think that as chair, I will be doing collaborative budgeting with our district attorney, with our sheriffs, working with the mayor on the investments that they're making at the city to make sure that we're putting in a system that's responding to what's happening with crime and violence.
Commissioner Jessica Vega Pederson, thank you for joining me on Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thank you so much for having me.